You know, Jeff, I wanted to ask this a bit earlier. You mentioned black lung disease, and I remember a number of years ago, we're going back 30 years ago, there was the black lung was a big issue. There were organizations. What's the state of that movement today?
You know, we finally, after 8 years of absolute nothing at the mining safety under the Bush administration, we finally have a great administrator, Joe Main, who's declared black lung to be his first priority. Still today, 3 coal miners die from black lung daily. 10,000 coal miners have died in the last decade. Think about it. It's obscene that this still happens. And black lung is on the rise because we're using more longwall mining, and this creates even more dust.
You know, I want to go back to our elected politicians out of this state, and these guys I would call my friends. Obama and Durbin, Senator
Right.
Durbin. You know, I remember being in contact with you with email, kind of being outraged about Durbin and his position on coal. And my understanding is that you have a lot of respect for both the president and the senator. You like some of the things that they've done, but you're very critical about their policies around coal. Elaborate a little bit on the Durbin question and his role in the coal field revival.
Sure. You know, politics is definitely quite different in coal because coal transcends any party politics. It's about geography. And therefore you have great liberal Democrats like Dick Durbin and President Obama, who I deeply admire, who I campaigned for, who I voted for. And I think Dick Durbin has been one of the great leaders on so many issues, especially the war in Iraq. But it's someone who has bought into the nostalgia and the misperception, who truly doesn't understand the devastation of what coal has done. He has this image that somehow we're going to bring back and revamp the coal industry. We have a coal revival program that Mr. Blagojevich was spending millions of dollars to go. At the same time, we have less than 3,000 coal miners.
He probably owned the
today.
company.
He probably owned the company in stock. And it's an absolute obscenity that these folks are operating on this assumption that they're doing good. I think if they knew the history, if they knew and took the time to really understand the complexities of the coal fields, and if they would stop taking big coal money, Mr. Durbin takes $42,000 a year from the coal industry, he would realize that it's in the interest of Illinois to go on and be part of the great green jobs caravan, to actually go on to the clean energy revolution and not subject places like Southern Illinois to another century of being under the thumb of big coal. We have some of the highest rates of poverty. We are completely devastated. We don't have any sustainable economy because people like Dick Durbin come down to Egypt and tell us we're going to get those coal minings run again, and not realizing they're subjecting us once again to another nightmare history over and over again.
Egypt being
Southern Illinois.
You know, I got a couple of more questions. I'm going to make a couple announcements, but why don't you give us a synopsis of your view of how green energy revolution should and is and maybe could develop?
Right. You know, we, as Secretary Chu says, we need a revolution of thinking. We can't just say, well, we can't do it, so let's just throw in the towel. We need to come up with breakthroughs like we've had so many times in American history, especially with our scientific history. And it's happening. Every day we're having breakthroughs with solar and wind and geothermal. And we can just begin, for example, just with efficiency and weatherization and different ways of building and architecture. And there's so many movements now that talks about how we actually just consume energy can change dramatically. At the same time, we need massive investment, billions of dollars being poured in to wind and solar and geothermal and other renewables to actually create a grid that will allow us to move forward with new energies. I don't think it's incumbent on me to come up with the answers. I believe that we have so many scientists, so many companies now that realize that this is the future, that we can have it.
Well, whether you figure out all the answers or not, you're still my friend, Jeff Biggers.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, back to Jeff Biggers. Jeff has a new book out, and it's a great book, I'm sure. It's called Reckoning at Eagle Creek, The Secret of Coal in the Heartland. He will be at the Heartland, at the No Exit Cafe tonight for a kickoff book party and a coal-free future event. Now, at that event, there's going to be a film shown, and you were in here not too long ago with some of the people who made that film. Tell us briefly about Topless America.
The Topless America Project is a group of artists and filmmakers who come out of Columbia College and also within other parts of Chicago who want to put their talents to capture what is happening in the Appalachian coalfields. Topless meaning we are taking off the top of the mountaintops as we blow up the mountains to get the coal. And this, of course, is called mountaintop removal. There's been an amazing movement of Chicago that I deeply admire, of people here in Chicago realizing they have a responsibility from their energy, their connection, and they've gone down to visit the coalfields in Appalachia firsthand to see what is happening. And so I think what we're going to see tonight is a clip of a Chicago delegation who've gone down to West Virginia at one of the most horrific mountaintop removal sites you've seen on Caford Mountain, and just to visit not only the devastation, but also see the triumph of the resiliency and resistance of people who are fighting back. I mean, one thing I do want to point out, Michael, is my book is not just about the dark legacy of coal, it's about the light legacy of resistance. And while you have Mr. Peabody in Chicago, I have my friend in Chicago, which was a woman who now is immortalized in our graveyards in Southern Illinois, a poor seamstress who came from Ireland, who worked hard and began to dedicate her lives to coal miners. And Mother Jones came down to Southern Illinois and she struggled with it. And then she led the coalfields, of course, marches in West Virginia, and she is buried not anywhere in Chicago. She is buried in the Southern Illinois coalfields because she said, I want to be buried with the boys who have defended that legacy in America.
And in a lot of people's hearts.
All right.
Mother Jones. Now, also, you were talking to me about a kind of a road show that you were creating and putting together, and it's called Welcome to the Saudi Arabia of Coal, and it's going to have music and film and that sort of thing. And why don't you give us a really brief description of that, because you're coming to Chicago in March, and I'm not sure where it's going to be, but it might even be at the No Exit.
Yeah, or even the Heartland Cafe.
That'd be good, too.
It's going to be a week-long run. We like to create a whole series of coal-free future events. Our play is called Welcome to the Saudi Arabia of Coal, which is, of course, how the president refers to the coal fields. And we want to bring the true stories from the front lines into your living room. We have some amazing actors off-Broadway in New York City who have been activists in the anti-mountaintop removal. We have filmmakers and musicians who have all come together with how can we create theater and stories and multimedia approach to inform the rest of the country of what is happening.
You know, Jeff, it's been great, and we'll talk more. We're going to get a big round of applause in a minute. I want people to know that next week we're going to have longtime People's Law Office member and fighter for justice Flint Taylor talking about his current work around police torture and wrongful convictions and death penalty information. We'll also have the folks from the play It Must Be Murder, My Dear, which will be opening at the No Exit. Thanks to everyone who made this show possible. We encourage you all to do good in the world. The world needs all that you do, and add a little bit of all power to the people. Thanks, Jeff Biggers.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Everyone at Heartland, over and out.
Yeah.